It is believed by many atheists and skeptics that the man Jesus Christ never existed, and that the possibility of a man filling in all these prophecies made of him is a definite impossibility. Many insist that the records in the Bible are simply not enough to support the claim of his existence. Alright then, recorded proof other than the Bible states such quotes as that of 2nd century theologian Justin Martyr, who wrote, "Now there is a village in the land of the Jews, 35 stadia from Jerusalem, in which Christ was born, as you can ascertain also from the registries of the taxing under Cyrenius, your first procurator in Judea." Martyr was referring to the records of Jesus' birth in Judea that were still in existence in his day. But since he was a theologian who would probably support accounts of Christ's existence, his account may seem invalid to the doubter. So what about the historians who were against Christianity? Couldn't they very well have declared Christ never existed had it been so? One of such anti-Christian mentality was Cornelius Tacitus, a Roman historian, senator, consul, and governor. Concerning Jesus and his followers, Tacitus wrote, "Nero punished with every refinement the notoriously depraved Christians, as they are popularly called. Their originator, Christ, had been executed in Tiberius's reign by the governor of Judea, Pontius Pilate. In general, since such men had access to the government records, they could have easily disproved or discredited the existence of Christ if it had been so. But this could not be done, and this only adds to the monumental proof of the existence of Christ." What about the Jewish people? If Christ did not exist, how then could the Jews reject him? In his book, Antiquities of the Jews, Jewish historian Flavius Josephus writes about Jesus, his disciples, and John the Baptist. He referred to John as the good man. Modern-day scholars recognize Josephus's account of the death of James, the brother of Jesus who was called Christ, as genuine. The Jewish Encyclopedia explains that Jesus is also mentioned in the Talmud, the Jewish tradition consisting of the Mishnah and the Gemara. The references to Christ are found in the following list. For other references, see the following. These sources offer valuable information regarding the many proofs of the life of Christ. They point to the immutable facts that he was born of a virgin, was of Jewish nationality, preached the gospel, healed the sick and diseased, and was betrayed and brutally slaughtered. Also, the following facts about Jesus were written by early non-Christian sources. Jesus was from Nazareth. Jesus lived a wise and virtuous life. Jesus was crucified in Palestine under Pontius Pilate. Jesus was believed to have died and risen 3 days later. Jesus' enemies acknowledged that he performed supernatural feats. Jesus' small band of disciples multiplied rapidly. Jesus' disciples denied polytheism, lived moral lives, and worshipped Christ as God. Encyclopedia Britannica cites these various secular accounts of Jesus' life as convincing proof of his existence. These independent accounts prove in ancient times even the opponents of Christianity never doubted the historicity of Jesus. A fact of history that has stumped historians, psychologists, and skeptics alike is that these 11 former cowards were suddenly willing to suffer humiliation, torture, and death. All but one of Jesus' disciples were slain as martyrs. Would they have done so much for a lie? As Paul Little wrote, "Men will die for what they believe to be true, though it may actually be false. They do not, however, die for what they know is a lie." Jesus' disciples behaved in a manner consistent with a genuine belief that their leader was indeed alive. Oxford scholar C.S. Lewis was initially convinced that Jesus was nothing more than a myth. Lewis once stated, "All religions, that is, all mythologies, are merely man's own invention." 10 years after denouncing Jesus as a myth, Lewis discovered that historical details, including several eyewitness documents, verify his existence. Will Durant, an American philosopher, historian, and writer, stated that a few simple men should in one generation have invented so powerful and appealing a personality, so lofty an ethic, and so inspiring a vision of human brotherhood would be a miracle far more incredible than any recorded in the Gospels. After 2 centuries of higher criticism, the outlines of the life, character, and teaching of Christ remain reasonably clear and constitute the most fascinating feature in the history of Western man. Now for a baffling statistic. There are 125 prophecies of Christ. Dr. Peter Storner, former chairman of the Departments of Mathematics, Astronomy, and Engineering at Pasadena College, California, worked with 600 students for several years, applying the principle of probability to the prophecies of the Messiah's coming. They chose just 8 prophecies from the many available, and finally decided that the chances of all 8 being fulfilled in one man in a lifetime are 1 in 10 to the power 33. What would the odds be on the more than 125 prophecies of the Messiah? It couldn't just happen. For those who do not believe in God, a question arises, a challenge even. How could 125 documented prophecies about one man, who without a doubt existed, all come to pass hundreds of years after they were told, in such a way as to leave no room for the notion of being humanly contrived? It is more difficult to accept the thought that all this could have happened by random chance over a period of centuries than to believe it was brought about through the aid of divine intervention.